Hello everyone, this is the Crypto Market Journey by Dylan from McMahon. This is a series on how I navigate the crypto markets operating on a 4-year cycle basis. Today, we'll be going over end of a cycle, or moon, portfolio update, liquidity updates, next catalysts going into the next bear market, and new algorithm. Episode 5, the beginning of the end. So, welcome everyone. I haven't made a video in a long time, just simply due down to the fact that you really have to understand what this YouTube channel is basically made for. It's mainly only based for long-term investing, and obviously, because we're operating on the long-term horizon, there's not really much to really talk about that often, but obviously when there's stuff to talk about, obviously I'll make a video about it, but today I'm coming at you with a video. I thought I'd switch it up a bit, bring back the Crypto Market Journey series. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. If I can, there we are. So big changes to the portfolio as we speak right now. We basically have the majority of my capital in alts with a bit in cash. The main reason due down to this is because you have to understand, as an investor, it's your job to only allocate capital to the best performing assets that you believe will perform the best, right? You don't want to be allocating assets to underperformers, assets that just won't do well, right? And at this current moment in time, we're currently seeing a switch where altcoins and high beta assets are going to do absolutely phenomenal. And that's just currently just what I'm doing at the moment. You know, you've really got to view it from the lens of like, you know, like, yes, don't get me wrong, Bitcoin has done well, but you have a choice of either making, you know, a 10x over 4 years or 100x throughout this very short, lucrative period of time that we're in. You know, which one would you rather? I would rather pick this one because I know this one is happening right now. And I'll basically show you the data for this. So this is a chart that I've just brought up. And basically what you have is Bitcoin dominance, totals 3, Ethereum dominance, and stable coins dominance. So I'll actually go over, if you don't know anything I said. Bitcoin dominance is basically the amount of dominance Bitcoin has over the rest of the market. So basically, whenever you see this going up, it basically is telling you that Bitcoin is the stronger asset over the rest of the assets within the market, which usually means that Bitcoin is going up. Now, when Bitcoin dominance is going down, this doesn't necessarily mean Bitcoin itself is going down. It's just telling us that the amount of capital that is within Bitcoin is now flowing to other assets, right? So it's either going into cash, altcoins, or Ethereum on its own. And as you can see, we basically have the same thing over here, which is Ethereum dominance, which is basically the same thing as Bitcoin, but it's just for Ethereum. And as you can see, as Bitcoin has been going down, Ethereum has been going up, which is telling us that most capital is rolling out of Bitcoin into Ethereum as we speak right now. And the same thing has kind of been happening with totals 3, which is basically all the altcoins minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this is like your meme coins and your utility altcoins have basically been going up, whilst Bitcoin's been kind of going down and sideways. Same thing with Ethereum, just been going up. So, and obviously we've also got stables, which are basically cash within the cryptocurrency market, which is currently just going sideways, which is basically telling us not that many people are going into cash at the moment, which is really fucking sick. So yeah, that's basically the data for you. This is basically telling us that we are in a confirmed altcoin season, telling us that we can suspect assets such as altcoins, meme coins, to really go up a lot higher over the long term. And these are basically the coins I'm basically invested into at the moment. So the main chains that I'm currently invested into are abstract memes and story chains. With story, I've only got one. It's called EP, but I'll basically explain my thesis behind all the coins I'm currently invested into. So the first one's called Newt. It's basically known as the bonk of abstracts. So the whole reason behind Newt is basically Newt isn't just a meme coin. It is actually a utility coin that has its own business backed behind it, where they basically have this centralized exchange where you can basically go and buy and sell cryptocurrencies, and on top of that, the founders obviously make a revenue behind this when you buy and sell cryptocurrencies, right? Now, with this revenue that they're making, they're actually going ahead and actually actively buying the token as we speak right now. And here's actually a proof right here. They are actually actively buying this token as we speak. They're buying around about, this was about a month ago. It's at nearly 3k worth of new. And I believe they actually just did a new transaction yesterday of over 4 grand buying this coin, which is absolutely just insane. And obviously this gives the coin a real incentive and a real narrative for it to go up, because now we've got buying pressure, not just coming from retail, but it's actually coming from the developers themselves, which I think is really sick. So that's more of a utility play. I've also got another type of utility play, which is known as Abster. This is basically known as the face of Abstract. So basically, when you onboard onto the Abstract chain, you'll basically be introduced into this penguin called Abster, where Abster will basically introduce you to the chain, how it all works, how to navigate the chain, and all that type of jazz. And for me, it was just very obvious. You know, you've got the face of the chain, the penguin, Abster, you've got the coin, Abster. Just doesn't really make sense to really not invest into it. Now, I've been exposed to Abster for a fucking long time. Matter of fact, I'll just bring the chart up now. It's having a bit of a divergence here, which is kind of bearish, but it's not really that big of a problem. I invested all the way back here at 600k market cap, and it's absolutely fucking flown up. Right, it's from current price now, it's up around about 42x. From all the way up being all the way up here, it was up nearly 70x, which is absolutely insane. And I truly do believe this coin will continue to do well going into the future and beyond. So yeah, that's basically Abster. Back to my presentation. So next we obviously have StoryChain. So StoryChain is a really interesting chain. So this is something completely else. But what Story offers is basically founders a real incentive to basically make coins and actually earn off commissions. So how this basically works is, if you create a coin, and if you can prove that you're the founder of this coin, you can actually earn commissions off the buying and selling fees, which actually gives these founders a really good incentive to basically not just rug pull the coins, right? And the main one I'm investing into at the moment is called EP, which is the current face of the chain. Here it is over here. I bought in down here. I'm currently up around about, current price, I'm up around about 2x, which is really sick. So yeah, things are pretty good when it comes to my coins, and that's just currently what I'm invested into with a bit of cash on the sidelines. So next, with all that being said, let's get into the liquidity updates, because as we all know, global and FedNet liquidity is the main driver of the cryptocurrency markets. So just recently, we have had Trump's new big beautiful bill pass, which is Trump's plan to print us out of debt, i.e. fight fire with fire. This is in my opinion, it's a horrible idea when it comes to the economy. The economy is going to be fucking destroyed afterwards, but with this, markets will do well, so I'm looking forward to it. Now, obviously, with a big, beautiful bill, Trump obviously wants to put us in more debt. But here's the thing, right? In terms of interest rates, we're a bit too high on them, right? We are really high on interest rates. So basically, if Trump was to take out more debt now, he would have to pay a fat interest loan to obviously the banks. And Trump doesn't want this. Trump wants the interest rates to go down. And the thing with with rate cuts is it has been a historical moment for pumping markets such as COVID and much more, right? And as we speak right now, we are actually looking at a really decent chance of a 80% chance of a rate cut in September. And as you can see, this has been given us via the Fed themselves, right? This has been given us by the federal government of an 87% chance of a rate cut happening in September, right? which is just absolutely insane, right? Obviously, the last time this happened was in 2020, right? So to see this happening now is absolutely insane. Now, in terms of actual global liquidity, which is the main driver of mainly Bitcoin itself, it is basically being projected to basically go up within the next 2 months. Of it's saying to top out around about October time, which is actually kind of sick because we've basically only got around about 2 months left of this. Now, I'm going to jump straight back to this, but the really cool thing about everything I've just said is we're actually looking at the 4-year cycle, because obviously in the beginning of this video, I basically explained, how I operate over a 4-year cycle. We're actually looking at only around about 2 months left of this cycle left. 2 months left of liquidity, 2 months left of the cycle. So as you can see, things are beginning to line up in confluence now, right? Of basically telling us that we've got around about 2 months left of this outrageous, insanely massive bull market to really do well. Oh, sorry, I don't know why that appeared up on screen. But yeah, as you can see, we've got around about 2 months left of this insanely massive bull market to happen. And truthfully, honestly, I think a lot of money is going to be made. I'm going to make a fuck ton. I'm hoping you're going to make a fuck ton. So yeah. Now, with all that being said, obviously with this, after this bull market, we will enter into a 1 year of a bear market. But we have to really look at the catalysts. What will actually cause the next bottom of this bear market? And in my opinion, it really comes down to what has overly always caused bottoms within the crypto markets. And it's usually always been liquidations or margin calls. Now, why is this? And if you don't know what a liquidation is, I'm just going to explain it now. So in the cryptocurrency markets, you basically have two different types of markets. You have the spot and perpetual futures market. Spot is basically where you buy and hold your assets for the long term. You can't really lose money on it unless the asset goes down. But in the perpetual futures market, it basically allows you to have this thing called leverage, right? Where you are able to add extra amount of money onto your positions that you don't already have. Now, of course, there's obviously a catch to this. If price comes down to a certain level, you basically lose everything, right? Which are known as a liquidation or a margin call. Now, why is this such a big thing for causing bottoms within the market? Now, the reason for this is because it's what's known as a forced selling event, where people are now forced to sell over just wanting to sell. And the reason for people being forced to sell is leverage. As I said, when price comes down to your liquidation level, you're not in spot. You're not seeing your portfolio going down and think to yourself, oh, fuck, maybe I should exit here. Maybe I should just cut the loss. Like, no, you don't have a choice. You are cutting the loss here. You are losing everything at this level, if you like it or fucking not. And it's really interesting because, as you can see throughout history, whenever we have had a quite large amount of liquidations, it's always caused a sort of bottoming within the market, where price has gone down and the market has always rebounded. So over here was kind of a bad example. It only pumped for a few days, then continued to go down. A better example was over here when we had a massive cascade of liquidations, but that really caused the real bottom within the market, where the market continued to bottom and then go up. Another example was over here, and another example was over here. So as you can see, liquidations have always been the current cause of a bottom within the market. So where does this really all come into the bottom of the next bear market? Well, in my opinion, every single bottom or top that we've had has been mainly led by retail investors. But now we're in a funny stage within the market where we don't just have retailers leading this market. We now have institutions leading this market, and such as BlackRock, Vanguard, and people like Michael Saylor, as I'll go over just now. A good example of this is Michael Saylor. So a quick overview of who Michael Saylor is. Michael Saylor is a failed entrepreneur with multiple failed businesses, but he has gone into being an investing Bitcoin pro, where he has understood that Bitcoin is nothing more than a hedge against money will debt. So what he's doing is he's currently going in a bunch of fucking debt, taking out loads and loads of debt to then acquire and accumulate more Bitcoin to outpace inflation and money printing. And he's taken out multi-billions in loans, and he is now sitting at a profit of over 10 billion, right? Which is absolutely insane. So as you can see, like I said with perpetual futures, he's kind of doing that, but instead of doing it in the crypto world, he's actually doing it in the real world by going over to banks of saying, listen, give me billions in loans. I'm a smart guy, right? And as you can see, he's taking on a lot of leverage, as we can see here. Now, all of this is very confusing, and I don't really want to waste your time with it. But in a very simple term, this is basically him taking out more leverage to add upon his Bitcoin positions to really thrust his earnings a lot higher. And obviously, this is not good for him, right? Because he's taking out a lot more debt. And yeah, it's just overall a really bad thing to happen. So the big next bottom, in my opinion, will be TradFi liquidated, right? It will, and the thesis is really simple. TradFi will, so people such as Michael Saylor, Vanguard, BlackRock will continue to take out more debt to invest into Bitcoin. We will then enter into a bear market. Their unrealized lot to debt gets increasingly bad. Therefore, the banks will say to them, listen, you don't have a fucking choice. Sell the position now because you're in too much debt. You've taken out way too much from us. We want our fucking money back. And as you can see, this is just a kind of catalyst, and it's what, in my opinion, will cause the next bottom within the next bear market. And yeah, I just truly do believe this is what's going to cause it. Now, if I actually hop on the Bitcoin chart now, in terms of actual bottom, I think we're probably going to see maybe something like here. If I actually hop onto a new Bitcoin chart over here. So from current price, I think we're probably looking at something like a 60% decline, which I think will be, if we look at 60%, we're looking at somewhere down here, around about 46,000, which I think is probably doable to happen. But obviously, because we've obviously got TradFi involved, this might actually not go down that much because maybe TradFi won't sell that much. So I reckon anywhere within this range is where we're looking at a kind of bottom within the market. So I would say within the next bear market, you'll probably want to be accumulating around about 50,000 to around about 42,000. So that's just currently where I have my bids on at the moment, looking into the next bear market. Now, that's basically everything I wanted to really go over. Now, my last point I really want to go over is my new algorithm, which I have designed. So obviously, if you have been following me for a while, you are to know that I am the inventor of the Nova algorithm, which the Nova algorithm is by far one of the most accurate bottom buying, top selling algorithms across the entire crypto market as a whole. Now, my other algorithm, which I told everyone about in my past videos, you may have seen it looked a bit different to this. My other algorithm was actually, where is it? This one over here, which looked nothing like the one I have now. But the main problem I had with this algorithm was, as good as it was, it wasn't exactly how I wanted it, right? This was really just it in its beta form, right? And the main problem I found with this algorithm was I was doing a lot of manual labor, right? I basically had a spreadsheet where I would look at a bunch of data, and I would be deciding if I should buy or if I should sell, right? But with this new algorithm that I have now, This is now 100% automated. I have absolutely no involvement in this anymore whatsoever as we speak right now. And as you can see, it's done fucking phenomenal on Bitcoin alone, right? Where we've basically been able to catch. If you were to basically ignore all these 6 signals and only sell, and this one over here, you would have caught over a 5x. Now, obviously, I do implement these signals to incentivize people to obviously take profit, because obviously I don't want you to be just holding something forever. Taking profits along the way is always a really good idea. You know, you can never really go wrong with taking profits. That's just personally my opinion, right? But as you can see, it's really giving you really decent entries, like throughout here, allowing you to sell up here. We were able to get you in at the bottom of this little pump here, of this dump here, to really capture this massive move up here. We were also able to give you all of these signals to basically sell up there for a nice profit. And it's honestly worked really, really well. And the really sick thing about it is it doesn't just work on Bitcoin alone. It also works on other coins such as like Ethereum and a bunch of others, which I believe is really, really sick. So yeah, if you want access to this algorithm, a link will be in the description below if you do want to gain access to it. But yeah, with all that being said, that's basically the algorithm. And yeah, I will see you all in my next video.